Yeah, this is our state right now. Anyway,
done. My shoulder hurts.
that's enough of that. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to the final episode of the Back Questions Worst Answers podcast. Each week, I, Connor, along with my friend Charlie,
here I am,
present a bad question to the others. Then we attempt to explore these bad questions with the worst answers. I believe that is the premise of our podcast.
That's normally what we do.
Yeah, that is normally what we do. Sorry for the low energy. Both of us have been fucked in the ass multiple ways. Yeah, we want to start with an apology. I still don't know what Saturday's video was about, but most likely, the more I think about it, it is going to be me bitching about how burnt out I am, and most of my circle seems to be, and just kind of the general vibe of everything at the moment.
What you subscribed for, right? It was just like a straight white guy complaining.
Yes, white guy complaining. That's
about his life too. I guess that's important.
Yeah,
it's just him complaining about.
Yeah,
himself.
It's a very personal thing, that people may or may not be related to, but.
Yeah, Connor and I are both really going through it right now. You said stuck in the mud earlier, and I think that feels about right. So we're gonna mail this one in, but we've got some exciting news.
Yes, there is a bit of a pick me up in this sort of lull that's happening in our lives at the moment.
This might be the thing that we needed to kind of turn it around and get ourselves back on track. Connor, the Lawnmower 4.0 just came out.
Whoa!
Now, when I say that, what do you expect from the Lawnmower 4.0? It's like it's a whole new generation. You get that, right? Like
I assume it's like you're getting the next iPhone. Like it has like sort of an overhaul in its features. Like a new camera, a new just kind of everything, just everything is upgraded. Probably maybe has like a new look to it.
The thing I say, though, is I don't think Manscaped lawnmowers come out every year. The iPhone's just an every year thing. It's kind of cyclical. I don't think we're getting a new Manscaped product every year. So I'm expecting this to be big, and boy, was I disappointed.
Really?
It looks like a mild refresh. There's guards. There's 2 more guard sizes this time around. There's a power status light, and they say wireless charging, although to me it looks like the last one was more or less wireless charging.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot, gang. It's a tough look for Manscaped here, and I'm a little concerned if you're if you're betting the farm on men's below the waist grooming, which I believe is their area.
Yeah, are they public?
Are they? I don't know. You should look into that if they're publicly traded or not. Either way, I've got concern that this isn't enough. I mean, I need to see more progressive growth, 2 more blade sizes, and quiet stroke technology for a motor that seems to output the same power, from what I can find here. I'm just not sold, frankly. So, as much as we're excited about the 4.0, and as much as we're, we love Manscaped here on the show, although I don't think either of us own their products.
No, we're kind of waiting for them to mail. We're kind of waiting to get a sponsor and have a mail-in so we can try their product.
Do you think this negative review is going to help that?
I think...
what they should do? They should send us the Lawnmower 4.0 and the 3.0 so that we can compare.
Yeah, we can do a side by side, and by how much they pay us, it'll verge on whether we'll give our honest thoughts or not.
Yeah. I mean, 2 lawnmowers though is pretty good. I can imagine only a couple of scenarios where I'd consider dual wielding a lawnmower. I like to consider myself pretty proficient at below the waist grooming, so I could see myself needing both at one time, but 2 lawnmowers is what? That's $90, $80 each. That's a lot. What is that, $170? Yeah, $170. That's a pretty good value.
Yeah,
So that's what we'd like. We would like 2 lawnmowers each for a total $340 cost to Manscaped. And we will guarantee a positive review.
Yeah, we by the depending on the price, you can guarantee a positive or an honest review. That honest review may or may not be good.
I'll guarantee it just for the bit.
Yeah.
I'll go. Connor might take a little more. Connor might need some off the top. He certainly takes a lot of our pod earnings off the top. I know that my share's been going down each month.
Yeah, the kind of the revolution of ownership that you've been trying to take, I've been trying to kind of balance that out with how we deal with the earnings of the pod.
I'm just saying, I've noticed that the money flowing into my account seems to get a little smaller each month. So, bear that in mind next time you're splitting that up. But anyway, the 4.0 is out, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, it's we haven't tried it, but we're kind of we're numbers guys. We kind of look at things for what they are, and on paper and in presentation, not good.
I will say it's got like you did mention, it's got a little bit more of a futuristic design, which is good, I guess. I'm not sure I love. It looks like it's kind of a glossy plastic, which to me is a turnoff. The 3.0 appears to have more of a grippy, maybe rubberized surface on it, which I find more functional, I think. But anyway, the 4.0 is out. We encourage all of you to buy the 3.0 for $10 less.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on that?
Yeah, I think we can both have a cosign on that. Yeah. So why don't we get into my question, or I guess Ben's question?
This is big. This is our first ever.
We're finally getting to it. Our first fan question. And if you want to submit more questions, hop in. You can type it in the comments or go into the Discord, which there will be a link. If you aren't already in the Discord, there's a link to it in the description that you can go into. And this question's from friend of the show, avid watcher and listener of the pod, Ben Lomer, and he asked, "What is the appeal of monogamy?"
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is that I would be confused by polygamy. It's counter. I would struggle to keep track of that, and I think for me, like just having one person,
like what the boundaries are of that, or
no, not the boundaries. I mean, I'm sure I'd struggle with that too, but keeping everything straight there. I think for me, the appeal of monogamy is there's like one person that you can theoretically like count on and fall back to, and they know like everything there is to know, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not necessarily true, but like they're your support system, they're your base, and they get you and understand how you work. And I think that would be a lot tougher to achieve in a polygamous arrangement.
Yeah, I would say the counter of a polygamous relationship is you might have some more fun. I don't know. They're on all fronts. Obviously not just sexually, guys. I know you guys were all thinking that. But fuck, my brain is so foggy. If I'm slow this episode, I'll just chalk it up to me being hungover or whatever. And I'm stuffy for some reason. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, you had a rough night, and not in like a bit of a rough night. It was it was not good. We probably don't want to share it, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm kind of a private guy. I don't want to air too much out there on the onto the public sphere. Just to we'll give you guys something to chew on for a while.
Yeah, you can all talk about what Connor might have gotten up to last night. I think it's a very fair point that if that's your thing, and especially in the sort of like hookup culture that we live in now, there's a place for that, I think. But for me, as we've talked about on the show before, I'm not like a super stimulated guy in that regard. Like that just doesn't do a lot for me. And so for me, I'm seeking more in a romantic relationship, like the emotional stability and consistency, and sort of like, yeah, I'm seeking that satisfaction more than I am like the physical or like intimate satisfaction. And so I think maybe while polygamy has a role in that sect, for me, the attraction is that emotional consistency and having that thing to fall back on. And I think that would be a lot tougher to pull off because you'd have different egos at play, different, people to satisfy. I can, not even really successfully make one person happy. So making like
hey,
3
Charlie, you make me happy, man.
Thanks.
You've got that.
That means a lot. I needed that.
Hey, just a couple of best buds doing the pod. I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, I guess like I don't know. I was kind of like thinking about like Ben's kind of approaching this question, at least from what I'm assuming. He's kind of approaching this question from a place of like almost he's kind of wrestling with whether to like go either in a monogamous route or polygamous route. And I feel like he's trying to I feel like he by asking this question, the fact that we have to answer what the appeal of it, he's kind of more leaning towards the polygamous side. So I guess I don't know, like, I mean, I would say like the appeal of monogamy and just having one person is that like it's probably like less complicated. It's like,
and that's huge for me. Like the complexity, like I sort of touched on, all the different like egos and needs of like the different personality types, all that different stuff that you'd be trying to balance, would be very stressful for me. Like I'm not good enough at reading and like empathizing with people enough that like one person is a challenge for me. To really like commit to in such a way. And I think all of the weird like half commitments, and stuff that you'd have in a polygamous thing would be a real turnoff for me. Again, I'm talking though in a long-term sense. I think there's probably a place for it when you're in like a college like short-term kind of fling setup. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I've heard
if
a lot.
Think it's fine too. I don't mean to wrong anything at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've heard this from a lot of like business dudes where they'll say like, what's the point of like being in a long-term relationship in your 20s when or if you don't even know that you're gonna like marry them or whatever. It's like, what's the point? Just like date a bunch of people, which I guess is like, and I think Ben's in his 20s too. Like he seems like relatively like younger, as well. So I mean, I like from that perspective. Like, I would say, like, from, like, a reasonable, kind of more realistic, stripped down, like, perspective, I would say that, like, there isn't really much appeal to monogamy when we're kind of, like, this young, because you don't know, you're not going to get, for at least for most people, I feel like we're not going to get married from, like, 21 to 25 or whatever. Like, I can see why, like, how that wouldn't be as appealing just because, you just want to suck and fuck and get out there. I have to blow my nose really bad. Can you hold it together?
I got you, Connor. I think there's a lot of good points in there, and I think maybe the appeal of monogamy is when it comes to a long term setting, like that's where monogamy he's really going at it over there, isn't he? That's when monogamy like becomes more of an attractive thing. I think it has to do with the length and setup of the relationship you're talking about. Because if you're just short term and not really wanting to commit, then I think polygamy is the way. Because if you're with one person, I think there's an inherent commitment that's expected from both sides. Like if you're just with one person, there's that commitment level there. But when you're talking about multiple people, I think there's there's a lot more opportunity to have like a lower level of commitment to one another, like personally.
Yeah, there's not much.
That's where polyamory makes sense.
Yeah, and there's not much like emotional responsibility that you have to take care of when you're a part of that. Like, the classic, guys complaining about women, just gotta care about their feelings. Us guys just don't know how to relate to. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, there's a lot less responsibility in a polygamous, at least like I'm assuming in a polygamous relationship, because like why if you're getting into a polygamous relationship, why would you want to, like, yes, there's an appeal to like really like giving yourself all to multiple people, but I feel like that is just like,
I think you can't. I think there has to be a lowered bar.
Yeah, because with like one person, there may be more stakes in it, but at least like emotionally. But like I guess like you're able to be more vulnerable in an honest way, I guess. Because like you don't have to, I don't know, like spread around to like other people. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Do you think there's? I'm struggling to see how like a long term. I guess not. I guess if everybody's on the same page and if everybody's got like the right view, you could have a long term, like polyamorous thing. But
I mean, isn't there like the TLC show, like the Sister Wives or something? Have you seen that? It's like the Mormon dude that has like 4 wives. And there's all this like drama.
It seems weird to have a reality show about Mormonism.
TLC is like TLC really goes for it all, but
they'll take almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to do it if everybody isn't expecting like emotional. I think that would have to be the baseline, right? For a polyamorous thing to work in a long-term setting.
I'm sorry. This is bad.
Everyone would need to, there is a mute button.
I know, but I don't want to fuck up the recording.
Oh. Well, now oh yeah, I think everybody has to not want the emotional satisfaction, and that seems odd to me. Like, if everybody did feel like that, somehow they're having to get their emotional support from somewhere. Do you think you'd have like would to be someone involved in something polyamorous, would you have to be in like multiple or something, do you think, to fill up your...
Well, because like I feel like no matter what, one person is always going to feel they're like closest to one person, not like multiple people.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there can only be like one person like that knows you the most at the current moment. Like truly like knows you like the most in the current moment than like multiple people would, because like you just like
absolutely going to be a hierarchy at some point.
Yeah, because unless like you spend every minute with both those people, like that's just unrealistic. Like you're probably gonna spend a good chunk of time more with one of those people than like two of them at once.
You're just like going to connect more with one than the other.
And like there's
I don't feel like there's a way for there to be like a long-term, like really successful, fulfilling.
Fulfilling, yeah.
Like in a true sense where like everyone is somehow on equal footing. I'm sure there's certainly relationships where there's successful, where two people are in a monogamous emotional relationship, but both are fulfilling like polyamorous sex lives outside of that. I think that stuff can work fine, but I don't think you could have like 4 or 5 people all involved in one collective relationship.
Because there's going to be like different forms of chemistry with that one person, and like yeah, there's just gonna be like one person that you probably connect with more than out of any of them.
Yeah, it seems very difficult to pull off, but I don't know, Whiskey. We'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the Discord about what you're thinking, where you're coming from on this.
Yeah, I feel like we got a good
think,
base of like.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway is like when you're young and not expecting some kind of long-term relationship to come out of it, and aren't in a place where like that emotional fulfillment is something you really need or want. I think it's a super successful and fine thing. Basically, like college is kind of like college, that like 20s decade is seems like a perfectly like successful time for it. I just think long term it would be really tough to pull. Well, here's a counterpoint though. I mean, I'm sort of the opinion that divorce and monogamy isn't like a successful lifetime thing. You know, I think you grow and change, and through that you're probably going to grow through and change who you need to be with at a time. Do you think maybe that's a place for? I still think lining everything up would be so hard, but I guess maybe I shouldn't make it sound like monogamy is the key to long term, because I'm firmly of the belief that, well, firmly is a bit extreme, but like I think divorce is kind of a part of life, and moving and changing through people is a part of life.
Well, yeah, because I think, well, I guess like that's why like people claim that there's like a soulmate or whatever, because no matter what change you go through, they're always gonna be there. Like you guys like change together, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I just think that's tough to. I'm sure there is.
No, yeah, it's tough.
Person out there, but
yeah, it's tough to know. Finding that, but I think it happens for everybody at like different points in their lives. Like, I don't know, and like especially like with our generation and the generation before us, I feel like that concept has gotten so like skewed and just kind of like stripped down for like what it is. Like it isn't really like that romantic, I feel like, anymore. To you know, like get married or anything like that. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and I think it's largely kind of an unfortunate thing.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're as romantic as a generation. I feel like
that's a nice way to put it, I think. Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good thing. I would like to be, you know, more romantic. But I feel like a lot of our generation is like so just kind of like not apathetic, but just like I don't know how to put it. It was kind of like what we were talking before, like a few episodes ago, about like what was the question? Is Gen Z an inherently socially inept? Like I feel like what we were kind of talking about, that where like our generation has like a weird perception, like a very like not romantic perception, or just like not much of like a feel an emotional perspective about stuff. We feel stuff, but it isn't like an irrational way. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it.
I think we touched in that episode or a recent episode on how little our generation, or how many buffers there are for our generation to avoid really intense and like difficult social interaction. You know, I think we were talking about it a lot in romantic contexts of not having that big like ask the girl out moment, but there's or ask the boy out or whatever. Like there's all these you know, you can do it over. There's so many ways to hide behind different layers of communication, that like breakups and those really significant moments between friends and romantic partners and stuff just aren't as common, and I think that's big. I was talking with a friend, and I don't want to get too hot buttony, so bear with me while I try and give this perspective. I was talking with a friend about this stuff the other day, and she mentioned that she thinks, despite like all of the good, right? Like if we the necessary like thing to address beforehand with this is like feminism has brought good things into the world. Like the broader topic of feminism as like a sociological concept and everything, and finding how to break down, you know, the gender barriers in society and all that. That has been good, and empowering women has been good and remains like a priority. But she said she thinks there's been sort of an element of feminism where it it discourages romance in a sense, because it's promoting this thing of like, you don't need, I mean, the general thing would be like, you don't need a man, but inherently there's like a, you don't need someone else, right? Like you don't need a partner, whatever that looks like, to make you full. And like the connotation there is good, but I thought I'd never thought of that as like a potential limiter to
I'm sorry.
romantic like growth. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was thinking that like we have like a very much like an increased sense of individuality, but like in a very selfish way. It's I would say it's not like really like that helpful. We have, and this isn't like really entirely related to your point, but I think it is like somewhat that like, yeah, we aren't, a lot of our individuality is like selfish, like self-centered focus, and it's not really for anything greater to like to help someone. And like I feel like a lot of people don't know, I mean, like anyone our age, and just like I feel like a lot of people don't know how to conduct themselves emotionally, or like how to like handle their kind of experiences, or just like you know, everyone has like a problem that it needs to be fixed, and like with this kind of like selfish individuality, like there isn't like a way to like focus any of that into something, or like a support system. And I feel like that's how we get a lot of this like kind of like, I mean, this isn't even like political, it's just like kind of this like outrage in a sense. Like I feel like there's why we get so many people just like acting like really fucking angry about whatever. It's not even that they're angry about that thing. I think they just like want to kind of like grandstand and get angry because, you know, they like, you know, you're your own person and you like want to have something to stand for. But even like now, like what, like I feel like a lot of people don't have anything to stand for. It's a very like, I feel like we live in a very like apathetic, almost like what's the term for it? It's not like it's like below cynicism. It's what am I thinking of?
I have no clue.
I used to use this word all the time too. I forget, but it's almost like the world, like there's meaning to nothing. Like I don't know. I just like, I feel like there isn't, not that we need like everything to be commutative, and I like having like a sense of individuality, because like if I didn't, we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast in like in a creative sense anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much just like, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know what I'm getting at. This is the classic Connor take where he like will ramble on and like try and make a point, but he's too fucking stupid to find out to resolute anything. So he just says I don't know at the end, which I really need to get better at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you touched on a lot there, and I think it's important. My friend made the point in the realm of feminism and like broadly people finding their individual voice, and this sort of being like an unintended side effect of that. And I thought it was a great point, but I think you're right to say that it goes so much beyond all of those individual issues, and it's like it's the social media thing where like everyone can exist so independently right now, and like
Yeah.
one little belief or one little difference can make two people hate one another. And I think that makes it really hard. Well, not really hard, but I think it definitely like adds another layer of difficulty to like opening up and getting to know someone when there's so many
Yeah.
kind of hot buttons out there. And it's not like there are definitely like broader hot button issues, but every individual person has so many different, like pressure points.
Yeah.
It's a lot more challenging to kind of put yourself out there and open up, um, in a world where that's happening, and in a world where everyone is so sticking to their guns that they don't maybe feel the need, which is fine. No one needs to feel the need to be in a
Yeah.
relationship, but I think it ends up being sort of a catalytic thing where they feel like they don't need that relationship, and they're inherently pushing that relationship away. And I'm super guilty of this, of like uh, putting on a persona where I don't need that. Like I don't need that person. I don't want that person. But at the same time, I really do want that in my life.
Yeah.
And it like, and so do I think many people. They want that thing, but we're all so kind of caught in our own individual rat races to look outside Plato's cave a little bit
Yeah.
and see what
Well, yeah, I
like is
think that's
holding
a
it back.
yeah, I feel like that the Plato's cave, which I think like that's how everyone like they find community in like these like Twitter echo chambers and like
Mm-hmm.
these Reddit threads and for like it's not even like political like literally anyone or any side like gets in their own little fucking
Yep.
like everyone is guilty of this to some degree, but like uh like they find community in that, but it's like not healthy like whatsoever. And like everyone is there's like everyone's so caught up in these individual rat races to where it's like hard to like kind of
Yep.
have like some sort of self-awareness in kind of your own feelings and like your just kind of your own life in general.
Do you think there's maybe something to be said for our stupid little synapse meat sacks, like not being able to comprehend all of the emotion and like passion that's out in the world? Because I'll be like looking to find like a wood finish for something I've made, and I'll be like reading a woodworking forum, and there'll just be people going off at each other like, you fucking finish mahogany with whatever, like, and like it's like passionate, and it becomes so personal, right? Like
Yeah.
it's maybe they're doing the wrong thing and maybe they're doing it stupidly, but if you were in person, you would never just rip someone to
Oh
shreds
yeah.
over a poor finish on some mahogany or whatever,
Yeah.
like whatever it is. Do you think our little brains just aren't able to process all of that stuff, and that's kind of what pushes us into these little echo chambers, and what pushes these algorithms, or pushes what allows these algorithms to push us into these little echo chambers?
um can you like repeat that
Yeah,
again?
sorry, that
That's a
ended up.
lot to unpack there.
It was we're running through some of the classics right now, like a Charlie Run-On sentence that's like a 300 or 400 word continuous statement. Um, do you think part of the reason we struggle so much to connect with people emotionally right now, um, and to open up to people emotionally, is because we're confronted with so much emotion all the time? Maybe not even ours necessarily, but we see so much emotion from other people that you probably wouldn't have 40 years ago, and our
Yeah,
little
they're
brains just can't keep up with how to feel about it all.
yeah, it's no, yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like a lot of I mean, I just feel like there's so many different ways for people to express themselves now to where it is kind of hard to like keep up with all of it and like confront it and like kind of know those like the know those social common sense cues.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mute the fucking
Nice. Oh, okay, okay. Can they hear me right now? Oh, damn. Well, that's bad content from me.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're maybe running ourselves in circles with this at this point. But I mean, everyone knows that our generation and the world generally is like emotionally fucked up and doesn't know how to handle everything
Yeah,
that's
we're
going
like
on.
little fucking children now.
Yeah.
It's.
I just think our little brains weren't built to handle all the inputs they get right now. And I think that all this focus on individuality and being yourself is absolutely a good thing, right? Like
You can be yourself. Like I'll go all for it, but there are there are appropriate places in different contexts to be that way. You don't, it's not all it's not all across the board, and I think people get confused by.
I think all of that social progression is absolutely positive and good, but I think at some point, and I think it'll happen in the next decade or so, as our generation's the first to really fully grow up immersed in the internet and immersed in all those intakes, have to start figuring out, how do we find someone to live with, or do we, like, maybe that's where you see like polyamory and stuff like that, and different forms of romance we haven't seen before start to happen. But at some point, and it is going to happen soon, we're really, as a culture, going to have to figure out, like, how do we manage all of this, and how do we like learn to both be individuals and not just be like the classic like 50s 50s wife. We don't want that. That doesn't do anyone any good. How do we find ways for people to be themselves and be strong and independent and empowered human beings, while also giving themselves up to someone else if that's what they want? Because right now those two things are just butting heads. I think that's why you're seeing so much romantic turmoil in the world right now.
Yeah, and like, I mean, there's always, with every generation, there's always going to be this sort of like unfocused rage, like we don't know what we're like mad at or whatever. But I feel like it's almost like a world. It's not even like a teenage angst thing. It's almost like everyone in the world has sort of this unfocused rage or just unfocused feeling towards something. So, and they don't know how to handle it, so they just like lash it out in this really strange way that I don't think we've ever seen before.
And I think like there's so many different things. If you're looking at like the 70s and 80s, it's like Vietnam, right? Like that's the thing that everybody was back and forth on. And if you're looking, like there was sort of like one big issue that defined those times. And I'm sure when we look back on this moment, the things that stand out will be like climate related and like equity related and things like that. And like there will be those major issues, but I think there's so many smaller things that people are equally as passionate about.
Well, yeah, we're like getting all worked up about Billie Eilish's Vogue cover shoot because she's like posing in lingerie, and like Lizzo's like fat activist or whatever. Like there's so much activism to go around. It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, and on just 50 billion completely different topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, like that you can maybe distill them down into some broader categories, but it's not like a black and white Vietnam thing where you were kind of for it or against it. And maybe you had your different reasons, and there was obviously a whole bell curve, but there was like this one thing. And now it's like maybe equity is like the genus, but there's 6,000 different species below that. I think it's a real mess, and I just don't think our little rat brains were made to put up with it, and we're gonna have to reckon with it. But I think it's all. I think cultures and human beings are doing and trying to do the right thing. I think it's just going to be a matter of how we're able to find like personal satisfaction in and around all of these broad, sweeping, really, really powerful developments. Where does that leave us? Do you have anything else you want to cover, or should we try and jump into my other question, or where are we at?
It says we're at like 40 minutes and 30 seconds. This has been a very philosophical episode.
Yeah. Well, we'll come out swinging. I've had a question for a couple weeks, so we'll come out swinging with that next week, and I think it'll be a little more lighthearted. Hopefully, we'll both be in a better place. This might be the last episode in this apartment, so look out for that.
Is it next week or the week after that? I'm gonna be in LA.
Oh, that's right. And it's somewhat ironic because as soon as I'm leaving California, you're coming out.
Yeah, I'm going to California, which is odd. Yeah, next week it'll be pod as normal, except you'll be in Blair. We could try and do an in-person pod.
We might be able to bang one out. We'll have to figure out the timing on that. You got any exciting stuff coming up in LA that you want to, like, do you guys have anything good planned? I hate LA. My experiences there are all negative, so I'm hoping you can do better than that.
I have no idea what to do in LA other than go to Saddle Ranch and meet Bryce Hall and the Sway Boys. That is really all I want to do in LA.
I'll try and think of anything good that I did in LA that I could recommend to you guys.
Oh, I also wanted to visit, like, the City of Lights, or It's like the art piece where it's like all of the lampposts. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, fuck. When I talked to Sarah about it, she didn't know what I was talking about either. So I'll have to...
can we expect a vlog? Is there going to be some
yeah, there's going to be an LA vlog, obviously.
Okay,
but yeah,
right.
Hopefully LA resets my sort of kind of continuous funk and kind of just rut that I've been in recently, and hopefully you going back and to your roots.
Yeah, we're both flying across the country to kind of find a restart.
Yeah,
I guess I'm driving. I assume you're flying, but
I'm driving. Yeah, we're driving. We're taking a road trip.
Oh, you're driving? Yeah, we're both driving across the country to find a restart. So
yeah,
best of luck to both of us. Stick around for content that's probably better than this. A lighter-hearted episode next week, maybe some LA content, maybe even an in-person pod. It's all coming together.
Yeah, make sure to check out the Discord. Join that if you haven't. Connor Moffat merch, connorsgraveyard.com. And I'm sorry for this week's video, whatever it is. It's probably going to be me bitching again, so.
And with that, we bid you adieu. Thanks for tuning in, hanging out.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Submit more questions, too. We like the listener questions. Those are fun.
Yeah. All right.